Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the 4-3 show. I'm your host, Ryan Blank. I'm alongside Parker Dunn, Pat Fortuna, and Dominic Stern. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I'm great. I couldn't be better today, actually.
You're such an ass.
I couldn't be better.
I've been in better conditions. Last night was I enjoyed myself a little too much at the end, and I've been feeling it this morning. But I'm doing good. Ready to talk about the game. Ready to talk about some basketball.
Parker, what about you?
Solid day, I guess. Another Monday. That's really all there is to it, I guess, for me. Nothing too special.
Okay, let's get into it. Super Bowl.
Whoa, Ryan. Whoa. How are you?
Does not matter. Let's just get into it. Pat, go ahead and start with your bull crap.
It's not bull crap. I'm gonna start respectfully and hopefully finish that way too. This Super Bowl, I told you guys coming in, Tom Brady was not going to lose this Super Bowl. There were so many narratives he was driving to either prove wrong or prove correct, and he came in with a fight and a drive to prove a lot of those narratives wrong and prove a lot of them right. And he did. He did for the most part. Tom Brady now has 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 7 Super Bowl championships in 10 appearances. And now there's no longer the argument of, oh, well, Mahomes has technically never lost a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has a better win percentage in the Super Bowl than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has been in 2, Brady's been in 10. So that argument is no longer valid. It never was valid, but a lot of people make it anyways. And I don't want to hear that Brady is carried by his defense because just because in the last 2 Super Bowls that Brady has been in, the other team hasn't scored a touchdown, you can't say Brady's carried by his defense. Brady had, 4 touchdowns that game? Did he have 3 or 4?
It was 3.
Was it 3?
3.
One of them was a running touchdown.
3, and then playoff Lenny had a touchdown.
Yeah, sure.
Listen, I couldn't be happier. I could be happier if he stayed with my team and won it there. But given the circumstances, I could not be happier that Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls, and the Chiefs' O-line and defense finally showed up the way we expected them to all season last night.
Finally showed up. The offensive line. What the heck are you talking about?
They finally showed up in the form we expected them to.
It was a second-string O-line. What do you expect?
Playing in the Super Bowl.
That is horrible.
There was a lot.
One quarterback was set up to win this game. The other one was not, based on the performance from his teammates. And the quarterback that was set up to win this game was Tom Brady, and the quarterback that was set up to lose this game was Patrick Mahomes. I don't really think there's a way around it. One defense took advantage of the presentation to them. The Chiefs' offensive line was banged up, and the Buccaneers' defensive line, which we all knew was the strength of this team, they went out and performed like they were the best defensive line in football. And I don't think they are, but they were certainly up there. The return of Vita Vea was incredible. He dominated that interior offensive line because what happened is the right guard for the Chiefs moved out to right tackle. And so the interior presence of the Chiefs' offensive line was where they were technically weaker compared to previous games this season. And Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh just dominated up front. And the Chiefs, they never stood a chance in this game. They were just dominated. It was the most pressures a quarterback has faced in any Super Bowl in Super Bowl history. And when you consider how much pressure Jared Goff was under in Super Bowl 53 by the Patriots defense, I think that speaks volumes to how well the Buccaneers defensive line played and how poorly the Chiefs offensive line played. It was a combination of both. And the Buccaneers offensive line was dominant. I wouldn't be able to talk about the Super Bowl without mentioning some of the bad calls. The holding call against Tyrann Mathieu was not very good. The one on the 3rd down when Tyrann Mathieu got the interception was pathetic. I don't know if those would have changed.
Let me talk about this for a second.
I don't know. Let me finish my thought first. I don't know if those calls would have necessarily changed the game per se, because at the end of the day, that didn't change the fact that the Buccaneers defensive line just did whatever they want to with the Chiefs offensive line. But it's certainly a part of the game. Certainly have to mention that, but congrats to the Bucs.
Let's talk about bad calls for a second. Sorry, Parker, before you get to go. Bad calls happen in every football game. Every football game. Okay? The issue is when the first call of the game is a bad call against your team, the Chiefs in this scenario, or against one of the teams in a big game on the biggest stage in the world, then every call after that will not be a fair call to you. One of my favorite parts of yesterday's football game was reading the Twitter progression of Ryan Blank's timeline throughout the game, because it started with run it back, LFG, and then it just got worse and worse. I just want to talk about saying that was not PI. That was 100% PI on that long play to Mike Evans.
No, that was not.
On that play to Mike Evans on third down?
First off, I think that was a soft call. Inadvertently tripped him. It's not like he purposely reached out to trip him.
Yeah, but he still interfered with the pass.
Yeah, he interfered. That one was
also, I think that was an uncatchable ball, which means
I would have gone for it too, man.
You don't stop Mike Evans.
That one you're wrong on, but the other calls were bad.
That holding on Ward on the interception was horrible.
It was. And
yeah, but do you know how many? For example,
the worst.
Do you know how many missed holdings there probably were on the Chiefs O-line?
Go find them. Go find them then, Pat. Because
I will go. I will rewatch that entire game because they exist. It happens in every game of NFL football.
Right.
And you're stupid if you think it doesn't. Especially with an amateur O-line like the Kansas City Chiefs. Especially with an O-line like the Kansas City Chiefs had. It's a sorry excuse for an O-line, a sorry excuse for a defense, and it showed yesterday.
Listen, Pat, because I agree with you. There in all games, there's going to be missed holding calls on the offensive line. I mean, that's true. But you can see them when they happen. I don't recall a single one happening. The Bucs D-line was played so well that the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line couldn't even hold them. So, once again, I don't think that's a good argument for this.
It's a horrible argument. It's horrible.
Okay, but listen, there's missed calls, there's no calls, there's bad calls in every game. You can't blame entirety of football game. The only game, I'm not even going to say that.
Football game on.
I know. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about fans in general. You know, the KC versus refs people in NFL's comment sections. It's just not what happened. But. No, this game isn't on Mahomes. Mahomes had the best game he could given those circumstances. He got absolutely boned. But I don't know. Exactly what happened was what I expected to happen. The Bucs defense would pressure him all day long. The Bucs offense would have a field day, and the Buccaneers would have a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has a 7th ring, riding off into the sunset, coming back next year, running it back. This was a down year for Tom Brady. Can you believe that? A down year, and he's walking away with the Lombardi trophy.
You're joking, right? You've
been saying it's a down year for Tom Brady all season.
I did not say it was a down year for Tom Brady. I said last year was. Brady was terrific this year.
Yeah, Brady probably finished 4th or 5th in MVP voting. I haven't looked at it. I know that Mahomes was 2nd and Allen was 3rd, or it's the other way around. No, the offense was basically always good except for that brief stretch in the middle of the season. At the beginning of the season, they were elite. Everyone called them a Super Bowl contender. And then in the middle stretch of the season, before they had that extremely late bye, everyone ditched them. And I said, don't doubt this team. They're going to come off their bye and they're going to be fine. That's exactly what they did. And a large part of that was because of Tom Brady. But we finally saw the Buccaneers play that perfect game. We said it hadn't happened all year. I didn't expect them to do it in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. The offense showed up. The defense showed up. That's why they won. I don't really think there's any other argument for that. The refs helped out a little bit. You can't deny that. The refs helped out a bit, but the Buccaneers played a better game than the Chiefs, and that's why they're Super Bowl champions. And it sucks for the Chiefs because they played 16 fantastic games this year, and then the game that mattered most, they just didn't really show up.
Nobody here. Let me put it this way. I'll change my wording. Nobody explicitly said Tom Brady has had a down year. But every single week when the playoffs came around, every game, except for the wild card game, you all picked the Bucs there. Except for the wild card game, who did you guys pick?
I picked the Bucs to beat the Saints, so.
Okay, more Ryan. Ryan, you picked the Saints to beat the Bucs, did you not?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you picked the Packers to beat the Bucs, did you not?
Yeah, what's your point?
People have been counting him out all year. And I'm saying that narrative is so wrong. They've been counted out, and they were counted out less after the bye. They finished strong, but before the bye, they were counted out. In the playoffs, they were counted out. I don't understand why people continue to count out this team, and they walk away with a Super Bowl.
Parker, you have not been able to say anything. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It's like the whole thing with the offensive line play. I mean, this isn't a hot take. Everyone knows this who watches football. But if you don't have an O-line, then you're not going to have success because it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. If he's facing that many pressures to gain the record for the Super Bowl, like Don mentioned, they're just not going to be successful. I mean, Mahomes literally did everything humanly possible that he could do to try and make plays by rolling out of the pocket. That one throw he had while being taken down was one of the best throws I've ever seen to not be completed. It was one of the best throws I've seen in general. But it was just, if you could show someone who didn't watch any of the game that one play, that would really sum it up because the line was able to block for him. They've been beat up all year. There's been a lot of injuries with that O-line going into the game, having Eric Fisher hurt. So there were a lot of obstacles when it came to that because the Bucs D-line proved how good they were, and they did it in a huge way. You have Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul. They were consistently getting pressured. There were very few times where they felt the need to blitz because they knew they could rush 4 and drop back. The linebackers deal with Kelsey and all the different receivers that they have. So they had the perfect game plan, and they executed. They got to him. You name it. The defense played absolutely lights out, and Tom Brady did everything that he needed to do. We saw a resurgence from Gronk. He had the first 2 touchdowns of the game. Saw the connection between those two, and that was something else. But this was a game where it was uncharacteristic to see the Chiefs' offense struggle the way it did, only coming up with field goals. But ultimately, I feel like in a situation like this, you have to pat the Buccaneers' backs on this one as opposed to putting down the Chiefs because, of course, yeah, they didn't come to play like they needed to. It was the Bucs winning it more than it was the Chiefs losing it.
Okay, here's where I'll go. Horrible. I expected the O-line to be bad. I did not expect them to be an atrocity. Your quarterback should never have to run for 497 yards prior to throwing the ball or being sacked. Never. And that's what Mahomes had to do on a severely injured toe that he has to get surgically repaired. The offensive line did not give him one clean pocket all game. That is pathetic. I don't care that it was a second string line. I don't know if they could have taken a college pass attack. I don't think they could have. It was that pathetic. Mahomes did everything he could. And everyone who says that Mahomes played horrible, that's not true. He did everything he could because he's running to save the entire game and to save himself from getting murdered throughout. 2 balls hit guys in the face mask. Those are balls that should be caught. And I think the most glaring drop, goes to Kelsey on that 3rd down that led to the disastrous punt sequence. Because that's a ball Kelsey should catch. That's a ball Kelsey's going to catch 9 times out of 10.
George Kittle probably catches that.
Yep. It's
Sorry.
It was frustrating. The defense, they finally get that one play. It's overturned. And I'm just going to say this, Pat. I don't know if you can say that the refs missed any holding calls on the Chiefs.
No, not even
Where was it?
in
Every
general.
time Mahomes had to roll out or had to move up in the pocket to get the throw off. There were some horrible calls. And I'm not someone who's going to say that cost the Chiefs the game because it didn't. There were calls that helped the Bucs in the game, and some of them were boneheaded mistakes, such as the holding on the punt and then the neutral zone infraction on the field goal. Completely on the Chiefs. But that hold on Ward, soft. The pass interference on Matthew in the end zone at the end of the first half, I think was the worst call of the game. That ball was thrown in the stands. And then I also think a horrible call was that Brady ran to chase down Tyrann Mathieu, and Matthew got flagged. I think that's ridiculous, but it is what it is. And I'm going to mention a very upsetting situation, but I think the whole situation surrounding Britt Reed and what happened had an effect. It's not an excuse whatsoever. It's not.
You lost your outside linebackers coach to
It's not that. It's not that as much as It's Andy Reid's son.
Right.
He was in surgery, and you know that's going to have an effect on Andy Reid. He won't say it. Nobody will say it. But it was
because you can't right now. You can't be like, oh, we feel for Britt Reid right now. He's under investigation for critically injuring 2 children.
Yeah, and the situation's horrible. But with having your own son in surgery while you're trying to coach the Super Bowl doesn't mean anything good.
No, you're right. You're right. And listen,
it was a distraction. It was a distraction. And I'm going to say it, the Bucs deserve to win that game. They did.
Listen, Ryan, I've been harsh on you. And I'm gonna dial it back a little bit. I liked watching this Chiefs team. I did. I would have much rather watched Tom Brady win his 7th because we all know my feelings about Tom. He's the 4th guy on the list of men I would go gay for. But we act surprised here. Come on, guys. Listen, Tom Brady.
You just said that.
No, listen.
Our show that will be streamed on radio and is streaming on YouTube right now.
We've got Tom Brady right here, right? We've got this right here. Me at the parade. Shout out to my friends Jared and Sabrina. I think Jared's watching right now. I got a Patriots. I love Tom Brady. I love everything he's accomplished. So I'm not going to root against him. However, I'm also not going to bet against him, like I'm sure you did yesterday, Ryan.
Nope, I don't bet anymore.
That's true. That's a good point. I forgot about that. Listen, if you were still a betting man, how much money do you think you would have put on the Kansas City Chiefs?
All I know is a couple of my friends
before the game, before anything.
My friends put 100 on the Chiefs. I wouldn't have even come close to that. I probably would have put 20, 25.
Yeah, and you know what? The Buccaneers, Dom made this really good point yesterday. The Buccaneers were 3+ point underdogs in every playoff game. And
except for the one against Washington.
Except for the one against Washington. I keep discounting
that 3-point spread for the Saints game and the Packers game, that's home field.
Right.
It's how that goes, but Super Bowl.
No, I have nothing but respect for the Chiefs. They absolutely blew this game. But I have nothing but respect for them. So I'm sorry I've been a little harsh. I look forward to our dinner together at Texas Roadhouse, where you will be paying for my 32-ounce New York strip. And that's it was a friendly wager. It wasn't what I'd call a bet. It was a wager between 2 friends.
What you're telling me is that I'm going to end up spending $40 on a steak for you?
Yeah, you could have just given me the money, man.
Oh, Lord.
Listen, if anybody's listening,
you get to watch the fat Pat man devour.
Right, exactly. You get to watch me go to town,
which is probably the more insulting part. If I were in that situation, but I'm gonna take it off the Pat giving you crap. Real quick.
John Stern asked, "Who are the top 3?" I'll give that to you real quick. Number 1 is John Mayer. Number 2 is John Stamos, but not current John Stamos, maybe John Stamos 5 years ago. And then Bradley Cooper, but not like Silver Linings Playbook Bradley Cooper. It has to be Star is Born Bradley Cooper. Not even Hangover Bradley Cooper. He doesn't even come close. Star is Born Bradley Cooper. Anyways, go ahead, Dom.
What I was going to say is this game also showed just how hard it is to repeat as champions, because at that point, the Chiefs played 2 extra games in the regular season in 2018, 2019. 3 extra games last year, and an additional 3 extra games this year. And what they've done over the past 3 years has been absolutely incredible. And it's so hard to just remain on top, be the best team out of the 32 teams back-to-back years. And that's what has made what Tom Brady has done over the course of his career so incredible. And we all agree Patrick Mahomes is right there with him. Unfortunately, him and his teammates couldn't get it done, but it is just so hard to repeat as champions. And Patty did everything he could. I mean, like Ryan said, given the situation, Mahomes played really well. He made some absolutely incredible throws. That throw he made to the back pylon, it was just out of the reach of Byron Pringle. I'm obviously not digging out Byron Pringle, but that was such an incredible throw that, if that's off by a foot in any direction, that pick that's intercepted or just completely uncatchable. So it's tough to repeat as champions.
And it's not as much that. It's just the Chiefs got outplayed. And part of it, I got to give a ton of it to that offensive line. That offensive line was atrocious. The defense, it gave me flashbacks to 2018. Couldn't stop the run. And I think the Chiefs, I think the secondary did a great job taking out Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They combined for 3 receptions for 40 yards. I was happy with that. They also took out Scotty Miller. They let Gronk and AB shoot them in the foot.
Hey, all former Patriots, baby.
So overall, it stings. It sucks, but this is a team they're gonna be back.
Yeah, Ryan, I have good news for you, actually. Can I give you some good news right now?
What?
According to you on your Twitter, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win Super Bowl 56. It's a lock.
They will. I think they
It's
will.
a lock.
They have the
Because-
best chance to do it.
Because here's the thing. The Chiefs know what they need to improve on in the offseason. First off, offensive line and get a linebacker. I swear, if I see Ben Neiman in a Chiefs uniform next year, my head will probably explode. He made one good stop last night. I'll give him credit, but
Wait, hold on. You talking bad on Ben Neiman? Let me scroll back on the Twitter. Let's get the receipt.
Hey, he made one stop. One stop.
This is a Ryan Blank tweet from last night.
Then
How
he
quickly
could
they
not
forget.
tackle. After that, he had a holding on a punt. He peaked at that moment. That's the peak of his career, and it's frustrating. Chiefs got to get a linebacker. I think the game is a little bit different if Eric Fisher's healthy. He doesn't make up for all the pressures, but having your left tackle helps.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's huge. I believe that the left tackle position is the second most important position on the offense, or right tackle, depending on if your quarterback is left-handed or right-handed, because they're protecting the blind side.
The
For a
left
sports
tackle.
journalism major, your
Mainly the
Twitter's
left
awfully
tackle, but
biased.
I just say right tackle for guys like Tua. So
Yeah.
So it's critical, and losing him was huge. This Chiefs team is going to look a lot different. I hope Sammy Watkins is gone, but
Did he play?
Yeah.
Barely.
he did nothing.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing that he did was get a holding call on
Oh.
Carlton Davis. That's it.
Ugh,
But
it's tough.
overall, I think that the one thing that I have learned about Kansas City sports in my life is once you get a heartbreak, they come back and win. Royals 2014-15. Chiefs did it last year after losing the devastating overtime game to Brady in 18. And then this year, and I think they'll win it next year. I think that it's going to be a completely different team, which probably is good. But also, I expect the Chiefs to give Eric Bieniemy the heir apparent contract. Huge contract extension that tells him once Reed retires, you're the guy. Which is, you guys know, that is what I want and what I have wanted.
I'm sorry, who?
Eric Bieniemy, Chiefs offensive coordinator.
Dude, he's not that good. I learned my lesson the hard way with Josh McDaniels.
Here's the thing.
The Patriots offense the Chiefs offense has done far more incredible things in the 3 years with Patrick Mahomes than a Tom Brady offense has ever done.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're blinded by the fact that Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. Possibly the most talented quarterback
It's
ever
also
played
the
in the NFL.
creativity that Reed and Bieniemy have. That's part of it as well. I think Bieniemy should be a head coach in the NFL. I think it's horrible that he's not. And that's why his contract is up, is because the Chiefs expected him to get a head coaching job this year. That's why they didn't sign him to extension. And give him that heir apparent contract. He is the head coach of the future, and I'd be more than happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great situation for the Chiefs. And
Yeah.
I think they're in a good spot to come back and be champions next year. Who else do the Chiefs lose? Free agency and whatnot.
the big
Watkins,
ones.
I assume.
Sorensen, who I think
Yeah.
is probably gone. He's probably going to ask for a little too much. There's guys like Okafor's still there. Damian Wilson's gone. It's a bunch. There's a few key guys that are gone. Not a bunch of guys that are big names that are gone. And I hate to say it, it wouldn't shock me if the Chiefs tried to trade Frank Clark. His
That'd be
value,
tough because he
his
played really
value's
well in
not-
the postseason.
his value's not that high. But if the Chiefs were to trade him post June 1, they would save roughly $13-14 million.
It's the price of being a champion. It's
Yeah.
tough to recreate that roster because I know the Bucks are losing Gronk. Shaq Barrett, a couple of other.
And there's going to be guys that are going to be asked to restructure, like always. There's going to be different ways to do it. The biggest thing that the Chiefs have to do, they got to sign Matthew.
Well.
They draft well, sign Matthew to an extension now. They can't afford to lose Tyrann Mathieu. They can't.
Yeah.
They need him.
They got to do exactly what John Elway should have done with Justin Simmons, because it only gets harder should you not pay him.
Exactly. I think that that's a big one. Also, I have a dream that Allen Robinson would maybe take a Sammy Watkins type deal, 3 years, $48 million.
Wow, the most powerful "I have a dream" speech I've ever heard.
You're horrible.
Well,
You're horrible.
Okay, he's not going to want to do that. I mean, maybe I don't know what Allen Robinson wants. I mean, he obviously wants a competent. He wants a competent quarterback.
Do I think it's going to happen? Heck no. But imagine Allen Robinson with Mahomes. He would finally have a real quarterback.
Yeah.
So
I mean, his quarterbacks so far have been Blake Bortles and Mitchell Trubisky, and I guess Nick
Nick
Foles as well.
And Nick Foles for a couple games. But overall,
Right.
I said it last night. I'm proud of the team. If you would have told me a few years ago that Chiefs would be appearing in back-to-back Super Bowls, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm happy. I'm proud of the team. And I think they're going to be in that Super Bowl next year, and I think they're going to get it. And you know what?
Hey.
That's probably going to be a cold take exposed if that's not the case. I know I'll get roasted for it. But here's the
Tom.
thing. I have complete faith in this team. I think they're going to
you're going to win another. Tom, do you think you're going to win another Super Bowl next year? Do you think the Chiefs are gonna?
think what you want, Pat.
No, but
Ryan,
I would love to face you guys in the Super Bowl being a Rams fan. I would love that because I think the Rams are serious games too.
Last time
it was incredible.
Well, let me before we move on, let me just throw something out about another narrative, real quick, and we can discuss it if you want. I'm just gonna monologue about it real quick. Stop making the Tom Brady's got 7 now retire argument. You think this dude, possibly the most self-absorbed dude on the face of the earth, is going to retire after winning a Super Bowl? He's going to have 5 down years before he says he's done. I mean, he always said, I'm playing until 45 and that's it. Now he's talking about, I might play past 45. This dude's hungry. This dude just won a Super Bowl. He'll be back for number 8 next year. It's just what he does. Okay? That's another narrative I'm sick of hearing. I've heard it all day today. Tom won, now retire. Shut up.
I don't think he'll retire. I don't think he should.
I don't think he's ever going to retire. As long as he keeps winning, why should he ever retire? Right? I mean, if he can, eventually the body's got to break down, right? Eventually there's got to be a point where the human body says, no more, I'm giving you arthritis or something. But it's, as it is right now, I can't see I have no timeline for Tom Brady's retirement.
Thank you for getting your Tom Brady jersey.
Well, I've purposely not done that since he tore his ACL. So, okay, Marco Peralta just came into the comments.
Of course he did.
And said Brady is a lucky quarterback. That narrative is also BS.
No, that's something I said.
Oh, that's a you quote?
I think he gets lucky.
Yeah, he gets lucky. There's luck involved in every football game, but you see Brady on bigger stages so much more often than every other quarterback, so you think he gets lucky more often. It's a placebo.
It takes luck to get a championship. Like, no one's not going to sit here and say, like, you have to be perfect in everything. Like, that's just not realistic. Like, I mean, the holding penalty, the non-holding penalty, the one the Chiefs way on the 3rd and 15 bomb to Tyreek Hill last year. Like, that is a lucky play that doesn't change the fact of what the Chiefs did, which nothing short of incredible. So that argument, I mean, sure, Brady, it seems like he gets lucky more than other people, but I think that it's just because he's successful in what he does, and that's why he's lucky. I think that's a main reason. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I was the first one to bring it up. The penalties he got in his favor yesterday were not good calls.
They were bad calls. But again, refs don't decide the game. It was a mixture of the defense's ability to not stop the run, of the lack of ability to get pressures, and then the offensive line. Those are recipes for disaster. And it came back to hurt the Chiefs. And again, if the Chiefs have a healthy line, it is a completely different game. It is. But that's just not how it is. That's the way that football works. And yeah, it's going to sting for a while. Congrats to the Bucs. They deserve to win that game. They outplayed the Chiefs. But the Chiefs will be back. There's no doubt about it. I'm not afraid. The future's bright. The Chiefs got the best future of any NFL team for the next 10, 15 plus years. So I'm happy. Now, let's finally move on from my misery. And hold on, Dom, just because you texted me last night, I have to say it. The Chiefs scored more points than the Rams did against Brady in the Super Bowl.
Nice. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't remember texting you anything along those lines. I don't remember some of the stuff I texted you last night. But
You
yes,
tried
guys
calling
did.
me a couple times.
I did. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried calling him like 10 times. It's fine.
well,
And I'll be honest, guys. At halftime, I said this when I was with my friends in Tucson. I said the Chiefs don't score 7 coming out of the break. It's done.
Well, and let's be fair. Let's call it both ways because I texted Ryan and I gave him a little bit of shit and that, or a little bit of crap, and then I said, "Look, I'm sorry." Then that's fine. Just don't even tell him about it. Give him a little bit of crap.
I didn't hold this out.
Don't worry about it. Give him a little bit of crap, and I said, "Look, I'm sorry about the loss. I know what it likes to have the franchise that's hated on. I get it. I understand. I was there for him, even when he acts like I wasn't.
Well, but
he's gonna buy me a nice
Never
steak. dinner.
make me pay $40 when I owe you 30 for a friendly wager.
Yummy, yummy. Yummy,
and I
yummy.
don't-
Hey, actually, here's my campaign. Hey, Mom and Dad. I know you're watching. You want to put some money in my account so I can Venmo Pat, so I'm not charged double for a 40-ounce steak. You see?
No, it's too late. We already agreed on the dinner.
Just hold on. When is this dinner date?
When is this dinner date? I don't know. Let's go to the Rainforest Cafe tomorrow, dude. I don't
No.
yes, the
Oh.
Rainforest Cafe.
No.
Shout out to the Rainforest.
care. My favorite place on earth.
That's sad.
It's probably not my favorite place on earth. It's up there though.
Anyways, and I would just like to comment. No one hates the Chiefs. The Chiefs are fun. So no one hates the Chiefs. And like I said, Ryan, I texted you this morning. Sorry for whatever I texted you. But you also were texting me crap when the Padres lost Game 2 of the NLDS. So a different stage. Different.
No, I did not. No, I said your team. I said I expected it to happen. I did not say your team sucks.
Okay. All right. Anyways, but we got other stuff to talk about.
So, okay, let's
I
get
don't know.
into
This is pretty good.
Yeah, I had fun talking about it, but we have other stuff to talk about. So let's move on.
I don't know. Drop in the comments where I should take Ryan out to dinner. A little date on him.
Well,
Rainforest
I should
Cafe.
take you out to dinner, technically.
Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah, maybe there. Maybe Fogo de Chao. I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
No. It was no. I won't let him do that.
Pat, what am I? I am Jewish. I am cheap. You have to know that.
Bro, that's kind of anti-Semitic.
No, it is not. It is a stereotype about the Jews, and I can say it because I am one, and I am a part of that stereotype. I am cheap.
Hey, $54 at Fogo de Chao. It's all you can eat.
$54.
Maybe we'll slide some off a plate into a Ziploc bag. You'll be eating for a week. Come on.
No. I don't have $110 to spend.
Is there even a Fogo de Chao in
Yeah, there's one in
Phoenix?
Scottsdale.
Oh,
He
I
did his
mean,
research. He did his research. What
I'm
can I
sure
say?
he did.
I've
The
been
fat
doing
guys.
it.
The fat guys.
Can I just pay for your Whataburger like 3 times?
No, we have to go somewhere nice to celebrate.
There's no celebration, asshole.
There's a celebration for me.
Why are we cussing so much?
That's not on the 7 words, right?
If we get kicked off Blaze Radio,
And you say asshole on radio.
why are you doing this? Pat,
Oh, you can say ass. You cannot say ass.
All right. Hey, Ryan, send me the podcast and I'll edit it for you because I know you're not in it. Ryan, I'll do it. Ryan, I will do it.
got it.
Hey, Dom's trying to not be an asshole for once in his life. Come on.
Oh my
Dude, stop.
God.
Okay.
I'm going to be cutting out this entire section.
I said I'll do it, Ryan. I'll do it.
I'll figure it out. But here's the
College
thing.
basketball. College basketball. College basketball.
Last thing I'm going to say, Pat, I'm not taking you to Fogo de Chao. The most expensive place I will take you is Texas Roadhouse.
What about the Rainforest Cafe? Does that count?
That's cheaper.
One
Let's do
Rainforest Cafe meal, fine.
Fine.
And please do not, please do,
Drinks.
please do not.
But I want another cup.
Oh,
Get some
no!
fancy souvenir cups.
No!
Oh,
The
Kobe
cup as a memory.
Japanese Steakhouse.
Pat, you'll give him the cup as a memory for your date.
Oh, there you go. That's a better idea.
No, he
Yes.
won't. He'll keep it for himself.
I already have two. I might need a third.
Yeah.
A trifecta.
No, we don't need a third, Pat.
Here
No.
we go.
College basketball. Let's
College
go.
basketball. I'm going to mention it real quick. KU is out of the top 25 for the first time since 2009. I called it last week. I called it last week. I expect it to happen.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm realistic about it. Like, they're not playing well. They're beating Oklahoma State somehow right now. But let's get into our picks this week. Starting off with tomorrow, number 14, West Virginia, and number 7, Texas Tech.
Game's not played in Morgantown, so I'll take the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Guns up, Chris Beard. I think this team is primed to possibly make a Final Four run. I think Texas Tech is going to get a win. Fantastic matchup. Came down to a buzzer beater last time that I correctly predicted, but I'm going to take Texas Tech this time.
I thought for sure there'd be a bye week for that joke after all the other stuff.
Well, listen, Ryan picks these games. All he has to do is not pick a West Virginia game.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, in my defense, I never lost in Morgantown.
That's so
Kansas-
not true. You 100%
Kansas
have
did,
lost in Morgantown.
Kansas did, though. Anyways, make your
Kansas did.
picks.
Kansas did, but
Okay.
Texas Tech is not going to. I'm also going to go with them. I think that the Red Raiders take care of business. They've done a lot of really good things this year, and I have to say, because at the beginning, I didn't feel like Texas Tech was going to be a good team, but like Mac McClung, I wasn't thinking he was going to do quite what he has. He's been a huge leader for that team, a huge transfer for them to get out of Georgetown, and I've loved this team so far. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech at home.
Upset alert. The boys out of Morgantown are taking the W. Give me West Virginia. WV, baby.
The last time these two teams faced off, it was a buzzer beater in Morgantown for West Virginia to win it. I think Texas Tech gets their revenge. I'm going to take the Red Raiders in this one. Next up, let's move on to Wednesday. Number 25, Rutgers hits the road to take on number 15, Iowa, who just got swept by Indiana.
Give me Iowa. This is an easy pick.
It's not. Iowa's lost 4 of their last 5.
It's an easy pick. It's a lock.
I mean, I'm going to take Iowa too, but it's not an easy pick. Any game in the Big Ten is not easy, but I trust the Iowa offense more than I do Rutgers, and they have to bounce back, so I'm going to take Iowa.
Yeah, I'm going to join you guys with that. That's a game where both teams haven't been particularly consistent, especially Iowa as of late. They've definitely been struggling in some big matchups. But I feel like I have to go with them. You can look at it as me picking them to bounce back, or you can look at it just from the fact that they are the better team. But however you classify, I'm going to go with them because I think ultimately they are going to do that.
This is tough. I just think that both teams are inconsistent, and I'm going to go with Iowa. I don't know why I'm picking Iowa. I just think that they're trending down while Rutgers is starting to trend back up. But they need to get a big win, and I think they could get it at home.
Yeah, you and me both, buddy.
Next up, let's go on to Thursday. Number 24, Purdue travels to the Barn and to take on Minnesota.
Dude, give me Minnesota. I mean, playing at the Barn is tough. The only team to go to the Barn this year and win is Maryland, and Maryland is the weirdest team in the country. Currently playing against Ohio State right now. They're currently losing at halftime at home. They're just weird. So I'll take Minnesota. Them at home, normally a pretty good call. The floor is raised in Minnesota, and that's what the tournament floors are like. So give me Minnesota.
You know, I almost applied to Minnesota. I didn't. Clearly, I'm here. It would have been a very different environment.
It'd be
Who's
cold.
the other team? Who's the other team? Maryland?
Purdue.
Purdue.
That's the chicken nugget brand, right?
What?
That is the chicken nugget brand of Purdue.
There is. There is.
I
There
don't
is.
know.
Purdue cage-free, steroid-free chickens.
That's
Always
a fat guy
fresh.
thing to know. So I wouldn't.
I'm more of an Ore-Ida guy myself, so maybe Tyson. I'm going to go with Minnesota in this game.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. This is an interesting Minnesota team. They pulled off some really nice wins. Because it's funny because like I'm just looking at their schedule, just get a better idea because they're playing in Nebraska right now. And they're updated.
Oh, they just won by 18.
Oh, so that game ended up being.
There's 3 seconds left. They're up by 18. It's over.
I mean, they're going to win the game. But yeah, no, this is a Minnesota team that's very interesting. They blew out Michigan in their most recent matchup. Then they also got blown out earlier in the year. They've shown some very big inconsistencies. So ultimately, I'm going to go with the Boilermakers on this one. But Don mentioned they're playing a lot at home. Some of those big wins have come there, so they could definitely pull it off again. But I'm just going to stick with Purdue on this one and see how that goes.
Wait, real quick. Can we update our listeners on the standings before Ryan gives his pick?
After this
We'll
pick.
update at the end. Update at the end. Just update at the end.
At the end.
Let's get the draft.
Give me the Golden Gophers, baby. If my older brother is listening, I'm picking them for you because you went there. So let's go, Rich Pitino. Don't screw me over. Let's go.
And if your twin brother's listening, IU is better than Kansas, which is so weird to say. I mean, it shouldn't be that weird, but
That is pathetic.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, because IU should be really good. They're just not because Archie Miller's an idiot.
Your score is horrible.
Yeah,
Anytime,
dummy.
anytime you have an inconsistent team with that much talent, it's normally a sign that your coaching staff's not very good. And it starts at the top.
Yeah. Fire Archie is what Eric's saying, and I can agree more. Next up, let's move on to Saturday where we've got some big games. Number 12, Oklahoma goes to West Virginia.
Morgantown, West Virginia, where dreams come to die. West Virginia's going to get this dub. Let's go, Mountaineers.
How could I ever pick against the Mountaineers? They're going to be coming off a big win against Texas Tech. Here we go, Morgantown. I know Ryan's a big Morgantown fan. Ryan, you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
No? Oh,
No.
that's too bad. You should check it out sometime. I hear you'd really like it.
This is so brutal.
I don't even add on to these jokes. There's something you guys saying. I'm going to focus on basketball, though. So I do think West Virginia's going to win this game. This is a very good matchup between the top 15 teams. Oklahoma's shown chances to be really good. They've beaten some really good teams. But West Virginia at home seems like a much safer pick in this instance, especially being that I do have them losing on the road to Texas Tech. So I see it as a bounce-back game for them.
Give me West Virginia. I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to win at home and move up in the rankings despite losing to a very talented Texas Tech team led by Mac McClung. Next up, Tennessee travels to take on LSU.
I'm actually going to take the upset in this game. I'm going to go with LSU. I think their offensive firepower could be a problem for Tennessee. Tennessee, defensive-minded team, very inconsistent shooting-wise, did not have a good week. They struggled against Ole Miss, and then they barely beat Kentucky. They needed to really have a really strong last 8 minutes in order to beat a terrible Kentucky team. So I'm going to take the bold upset pick here. I'm going to go with the Tigers.
A man after my own heart. I was actually going to pick them too. You know why? Because Addison Ray goes to LSU. Joe Burrow went to LSU. That's a pretty star-studded lineup. I'm gonna give this one to LSU. Ben
Shaq.
Simmons, Shaq. That's what I'm saying. Give me LSU.
Now Sharif.
Okay, well, you guys go with the upset. I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. I think ultimately to get it done, the inconsistencies with LSU worry me. Obviously, being at home does help. Being able to sleep in your dorm rooms as a freshman or your housing right off campus as an older student, that's great and all, but I'm going to stick with Tennessee on this one. I think there's more talent on that roster, and I think that they're playing just a little bit better going into a game like this.
I was going to pick the upset, so I'm going to stick with it. Give me LSU in this one. I just think Tennessee is
3-1 ratio.
extremely inconsistent. So give me the Tigers. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go
Next-
Tigers.
The last game on our Saturday slate, number 5, Villanova travels to take on the Blue Jays, number 19, Creighton.
Really tough matchup to predict because we haven't really seen much from Villanova. They've been coming off of COVID stuff. They lost to St. John's earlier this week, which is a team that's really peaking right now. And then Creighton, they're just weird. They lost at home to Georgetown. How do you do that? They've just been super inconsistent all season long. The really good Creighton team is really, really good. But the problem is that team doesn't show up a ton. So I'm just going to take the better team in this matchup, Villanova. I trust Jay Wright and company to get this job done on the road in Creighton. What is a Creighton, Pat?
The hell is a Creighton? I was about to ask the same thing. Give me Villanova.
Yeah, I'm taking Nova as well on this one. Although they haven't been playing as many games, I don't want to compare this over to like college football because it's like not even a fair comparison. But like people going crazy about Ohio State not playing very many games. We ultimately know Villanova is the better team in this one, like them, and I think that they get it done. I'm not really gonna go into details about what a Creighton is, but I think that Villanova is going to take care of business on the road.
Give me Creighton. I think Creighton at home, they're going to get a win. I think it's going to be a big win because they've been on a downward slide recently, and they're starting to get it back. And I think that for them to really get back to where they were, they're going to have to beat a very tough Villanova team. So give me Villanova. Give me Creighton in this one. Sorry. Next up on Sunday, number 3 Michigan travels to take on number 21 Wisconsin.
Tough game because, one, we don't know 100% if this game's going to happen yet. We're waiting to see if Michigan comes off their COVID pause. Their game on Thursday against the Fighting Illini got canceled. So that was disappointing because that would have been incredible. But I think that gives Michigan a better chance to win this game. Wisconsin's been super inconsistent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And Michigan, going into quarantine, they were just firing on all cylinders. So I'm going to take the Wolverines in this one. It's going to be a weird game because I really don't know what to expect from really either of these teams just because Michigan's a lot of unknown and Wisconsin's been inconsistent. But I'll take Big Blue.
Yeah, Tom Brady went to Michigan and he just won a Super Bowl, so give me Michigan.
Well, the way I look at it is Michigan's been very good all year. Yeah, whether or not the game's going to happen, of course, is in question. But should it, I like Michigan in this one. They beat Wisconsin pretty handily earlier when they were back at home. It's going to be a very different game on the road should it be played. I expect it to be much closer. I expect Wisconsin to be having a sense of urgency, being that they could fall outside the top 25. So I expect it to be a very close game down to the final stretch, but Michigan's ultimately going to come around today.
We all know what happened the last time these two teams faced off. Michigan crushed them. They were playing their deep end bench guys with 10 minutes remaining in the game.
Oof.
Give me the Wolverines in this one. And for our final game, let's move on to Monday. Number 9, Virginia travels to take on number 17, Florida State.
Another weird game because these two teams at their best are both Final Four caliber teams, but unfortunately they have not been playing like that recently. I'll take UVA because if they can shoot the ball well, obviously the defense is going to play extremely well. I'll take the Cavaliers in this game. It should be a fantastic game, though, because I think Florida State has such a good roster. It's probably the second best team in the ACC, only behind UVA. So I'll take the Cavs.
Hey, Thomas, do you think your Cavaliers are going to win? Yeah, I'm taking the Virginia Cavaliers.
This insight is incredible from Pat.
Well, let's see. This is a really good game. This one, I think, is the hardest for me to pick. I mean, a lot of these games are tough with these matchups between these very balanced teams in some of these, but this is one of those picks where, like, if it doesn't go my way, I'm going to regret it either way. I want to go towards Florida State at home. I did pick Virginia to win that conference, though. I'm going to go with Florida State. I want to be a little risky. I feel like a lot of my picks have been a little bit on the drier side of things. Pretty predictable, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go with the Seminoles in this one. I think that they, although not looking quite as good in their most recent 2 matchups, overall they've had some really good games against some solid teams. So I think they're going to really get it done at home.
This is tough. Both teams are inconsistent. I'm going to go with Virginia. I think they're going to be able to get enough stops to make sure that they can pull off the win. It's going to be tough for sure, but I think they'll be able to pull it off. Okay, let me just say the rankings. Dom and Parker are tied for first at 23 and 16. Pat is in third at 12 and 10, and then I'm in last at 20 and 19. Hey, I did not go 1 and 7 this week. I'm proud of that. That's all I have to say about it. So that's just how it goes. Improvement.
We all had rough weeks, but yours was better. So good job.
Yep. Any improvement works. Next up, NBA. Derrick Rose has been traded to the New York Knicks for Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2021 second-round pick, which will be headed back to Detroit.
I would have for this one. I think that this is something that if you're the Knicks, bringing him back, of course, he was there not so long ago, didn't have too much success with that team. I remember they compared that team to the Warriors with KD at the time. I mean, obviously, maybe they're just trying to poke some fun, get some reactions out of it, whatever, their agenda was. But it was really silly to see. So they're bringing him back. I think that Derrick Rose played very good in Detroit. And I think that bringing him in is good for them because the Knicks are a team where you're playing in the Eastern Conference. So getting that 7th or 8th seed isn't the craziest of tasks. You can be below 500. We saw it with the Magic last year. And we see it just about every season. So their team has been a little bit of a pleasant surprise by their standards, of course. We're used to Knicks basketball sucking and just being very disappointing for all those Knicks fans out there. But they have a promising young core with Mitchell Robinson. Toppin's playing very well. Emmanuel Quickly, who's a rookie, who's been kind of emerging here and there. And, of course, Julius Randle, who I think is one of the more underrated players in the league. So I think bringing in D. Rose to that core is good. So I like the trade for them. I don't think they gave up a huge amount because they're a team that just wants to try and satisfy the fans a little bit, just give them a little bit of a taste of postseason play. And I think with a move like that, they trend in the right direction to potentially do that. And it's not like they gave up a crazy good amount because I usually don't like teams getting out draft capital if they're not in position to win. But I think that this is the kind of year where it's okay to do that, to get a guy like D. Rose and bring him back.
Yeah, I like this trade for both sides. The Pistons are getting a high upside player in Dennis Smith Jr. Hasn't looked great since going to the Knicks in the trade for Kristaps Porzingis. And we saw Detroit flip around Josh Jackson's career. Maybe they can do the same thing with DSJ because he was so good and so fun to watch at NC State. And Derrick Rose, he's just been consistent. Obviously nowhere near the caliber of the player he was in his MVP season in his prime, but super capable guard, can facilitate, can score, can shoot, and can play a little bit of defense. So I like what the Knicks are doing here. And reuniting with Coach Thib is certainly a cool thing because that's his coach in Chicago and Minnesota. So I like this trade for both sides.
Not much to say. I'm not going to monologue on it. These guys both just did. Good trade for Derrick Rose. This is a team with some upside on it. It'll be good for him to develop the younger guys on the roster.
Yeah, I will actually have one more thing with Dennis Smith because he actually wanted to go down to the G League team so that he can get some more minutes. He wasn't really satisfied with how they were treating his minutes over there with the Knicks. I think that was something that took a lot of guts from him. I respect that. So him going down, trying to play basketball and improve his game is good. So what exactly it's going to look like for him over there in Detroit, I would imagine it's going to be different, of course, new scene, new team. But I am very curious to watch him progress through the G League should he continue to go that route with the Pistons.
I think it's a good trade for both sides. Excuse me. I think that the Pistons get a young piece with a lot of upside, like you said, Dom, and they were able to really turn Josh Jackson into a guy that can be very productive off the bench. The other night against the Lakers, he dropped, I think, 30 off the bench, if not more. He played very well. And I think that it's big to get him out of New York. Like Parker said, he wanted more minutes. He was upset with how they were allocating his minutes, and it just was not a good situation for him since he was traded from the Mavericks. So I think it's a good trade for him to go to Detroit and get a fresh start. I also like the Knicks getting back Derrick Rose because he has that familiarity with Tom Thibodeau, and I think that's going to be nice for them to be back together and for them to see if they can try to make a push for the 8th seed. Because the Knicks haven't been playing terrible basketball this year. They've been below average, but they have been better than I expected. So adding a guy like Derrick Rose will help with leadership and developing the younger guys like Kevin Knox and RJ Barrett. So I really like the trade for both sides.
Yeah. Also, hopefully Thibodeau won't, force Heroes to play 40 minutes a game and risk injuries to where his body's currently at in his career, because that's all he seems to have to do with players. I know that RJ Barrett and I don't know, Julius Randle, someone in the starting five. I know RJ Barrett's standing there for top guys for minutes in the league. That's something he's notorious for as a coach. So surely hope he approaches Derrick Rose a little bit differently this time around.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be big to have someone with familiarity trying to get that system down for Thibodeau. Gentlemen, let's cut it here. We are done for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the 4-3 show. We will be back next week. Who knows what the show's going to be like? No football. We will not have football until September. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your week.